Bagong umaga, yakapin mo ang bagong pag-asa. Simulan mong abutin ang iyong pangarap na magbibigay dangal sa iyong bukas. Ang suliranin, hindi laging nandyan, dapat mong harapin. Kami iyong kasama sa bawat takin, magkaakbay nating lulutasin. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Ang mga aral ay ginintuang atin ng bawat guro na siyang gagabay sa iyong pagkamulat. Naway umukit ito sa iyong isipan, maging mapanuri, sundin ng wasto at nararapat. Kagandahang asal ang ipakita, ipadama ang pusong may malasakit. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Sakali mang tayo'y subukin ng unos, ating haharapin ng walang takot. Sasamahan ka ni Fernan at Dino, ang bagong barkada mo. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, edukasyon mo'y sigurado na. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, edukasyon mo'y sigurado na.
Fernandino Teens TV.
Fer, anong ginagawa mo? Hindi naman ganyan ang tamang paggamit ng tripod.
Talaga? Sure ka ba dyan? Akala ko kasi ay ganito ang tamang paggamit ng tripod.
May ginagawa ba kayong experiment for Atnan?
Oo sana. Pero hindi kami sigurado kung paano gamitin ang mga laboratory apparatus.
Oo nga, at hindi rin namin alam kung ito nga ba ang mga materials na kailangan namin.
O anong gagawin natin? Hindi ko rin alam ang dapat na gamitin.
Mabuti pa, manood na muna tayo ng Fernandino Teens TV. Balita ko tungkol sa mga laboratory apparatus ang magiging talakayan. Tara! Halina't panoorin na natin siya!
Hello, Fernandino Teens. I am Ma'am Rochelle, and I will be with you today for another episode full of learning and fun. I will be your science teacher today. Before we begin, could you guess where I am? Good! I am in a science laboratory. Have you been in a laboratory? If yes, that's great. If not, do not worry, because today we will explore what is inside a laboratory. including the materials that we see in it. We will explore this laboratory like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Galileo Galilei, Marie Curie, Stephen Hawking, and many more. Are you excited? So am I. Again, we will focus on the common apparatus used in a laboratory. Today, you will not only learn what these apparatus are, but you will also see how this equipment are used in a laboratory. These are the objectives of the lesson. Number 1, identify the common apparatus used in the laboratory. Number 2, describe the use of the different laboratory apparatus. And number 3, demonstrate the proper ways of using or handling laboratory materials. Before proceeding to our target objective, let me first define 2 important terms that you will encounter throughout the discussion. The first term is laboratory. A laboratory is a room or building equipped for scientific experiments, research, or teaching, or for the manufacture of drugs or chemicals. In schools, there are science laboratories specifically built for the experimentation of students in their science subjects. The second term is apparatus. An apparatus is a technical equipment or machinery needed for a particular activity or purpose. Combining these 2 terms, laboratory and apparatus, we could say that laboratory apparatus are glassware or machinery needed in performing scientific experiments, research, or teaching. Laboratory apparatus are important tools to interact directly with the data gathered before the experiment. By using these materials, you will get a first-hand learning experience by performing different experiments on your own. However, because of COVID-19 pandemic, you could not yet utilize your science labs in school. Therefore, this lesson is a head start so that when everything goes back to normal, you already know how to use this apparatus. In a laboratory, safety precautions must be followed. You must take note of these things before, during, and after an experiment. Number 1, know the locations of laboratory safety showers, eye wash stations, and fire extinguishers. Familiarize yourself with the laboratory. Number 2, know where the emergency exit routes are. Number 3, avoid skin and eye contact with all chemicals. Number 4, minimize all chemical exposures. Number 5, assume that all chemicals of unknown toxicity are highly toxic. Number 6, pause warning signs when unusual hazards, hazardous materials, hazardous equipment, or other special conditions are present. Number 7, avoid distracting or startling persons working in the laboratory. Number 8, use equipment only for its designated purpose. Number 9, combine reagents in their correct order, such as adding acid to water. Number 10, avoid adding solids to hot liquids. Number 11, never leave containers of chemicals open. Number 12, all containers must have appropriate labels, Unlabeled chemicals should never be used. Number 13, never consume or store food or beverages in areas where hazardous chemicals are used or stored. Number 14, wash exposed areas of the skin prior to leaving the laboratory. Number 15, long hair and loose clothing must be pulled back and secured from entanglement or potential capture. Number 16, no contact lenses should be worn around hazardous chemicals even when wearing safety glasses. Number 17, laboratory safety glasses or goggles should be worn in any area where chemicals are used or stored. They should also be worn at all times in the laboratory. Number 18, determine the potential hazards and appropriate safety precautions before beginning any work. Number 19, do not pour chemicals down drains. Do not utilize the sewer for chemical waste disposal. Number 20, avoid working alone in a building. Do not work alone in a laboratory if the procedures being conducted are hazardous. Number 21, all equipment should be regularly inspected for wear or deterioration. Number 22, no cell phone or earphone usage in the active portion of the laboratory or during experimental operations. Number 23, clothing made of synthetic fiber should not be worn while working with flammable liquids or when a fire hazard is present, as these materials tend to melt and stick to exposed skin. Number 24, laboratory coats should not be stored in offices or break rooms, as this spread contaminates to other areas. Number 25, avoid wearing accessories in the lab, as this can pose multiple safety hazards. There you have it. You must follow these safety measures every time you are in the laboratory. Later, we will dig deeper into our lesson as I describe and demonstrate the use of the different laboratory apparatus. For now, just relax and we will return here in Fernandino Teens TV.
Ang Schools Division Office City of San Fernando, Pampanga ay kaisa ng Department of Education sa pagsasagawa ng mga proyekto at programa na tumutugon sa mga pangangailangan ng mga mag-aaral. Inilunsad ang Division Call Center for Tutors and Guidance Counselors upang magbigay ng educational at psychological assistance sa mga mag-aaral, magulang at stakeholders ng division. Kaya, kung may nais kayong itanong tungkol sa pag-aaral, maaaring magpadala ng mensahe sa Division Call Center for Tutors and Guidance Counselors Facebook page o tumawag sa mga numero na makikita sa ibaba ng inyong screen tuwing Lunes hanggang Biyernes sa ganap na alas 8 ng umaga hanggang alas 6 ng gabi. Maaari rin kayong sumangguni sa ating guidance counselors na nagbibigay ng guidance and counseling services. Lahat ng inyong ibabahagi ay mananatiling confidential. Ang nasabing programa ay nagsisilbing daan upang malaman ang feedbacks ng stakeholders para matulungan ang ating divisyon na mapagbuti pa ang mga sumusunod na programa. Ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Tumawag na sa aming mga numero o bumisita na sa aming Facebook page at magpadala ng inyong mga katanungan.
Fernandino Teens TV.
Welcome back, Fernandino Teens. We're here again in the laboratory, and I will show you how to use the basic equipment during experiments. Are you ready? Great! Let's have the first one. This is a beaker. This is a simple container for stirring, mixing, and heating liquids, commonly used in many laboratories. Beakers are generally cylindrical in shape with a flat bottom and a lip for pouring. Next is the stirring rod. This is a piece of laboratory equipment used to mix chemicals and liquids for laboratory purposes. This is usually made of solid glass about the thickness and slightly longer than a drinking straw. I will show you how to use a beaker and a stirring rod. We will mix the liquid inside the beaker with the stirring rod. The next set of laboratory apparatus that I will show you are test tubes, test tube holder, test tube brush, and test tube rock. A test tube is also known as culture tube or sample tube. It is a common piece of laboratory glassware consisting of a finger-like length of glass or clear plastic tubing. Open at the top, usually with a rounded U-shaped bottom. The equipment that holds the test tube is called the test tube holder. Obviously, it is designed to hold test tubes, as its name suggests. Next is test tube rock. It is an important equipment used for the storage of test tubes. After the experiment, it is a must to clean the test tubes. We don't use just any brush in cleaning them. Instead, we specifically use a test tube brush. A test tube brush is a tool made with nylon bristles attached to a twisted wire shaft used to knock the bottoms out of test tubes. It is a brush that is long and narrow to clean the inside of glassware, in particular, test tubes. This is the proper way of cleaning test tubes. The next apparatus that I will show you is the Florence flask. This has a round body with a single long neck and with either a round or a flat bottom. It can be used as a container to hold solutions of chemicals. It is designed for uniform heating and ease of swirling. It is produced in a number of different glass thickness to stand different types of use. Next is the Erlenmeyer flask, also known as a conical flask. It is a widely used type of laboratory flask which features a flat bottom, unlike the Florence flask with a round bottom. This one has a conical body and a cylindrical neck. Erlenmeyer flasks are suitable for heating liquids. The small neck reduces evaporative losses compared to a beaker, while the flat bottom of the conical flask makes it unlikely to tip over and spill. This one is called a graduated cylinder. This is used to accurately measure the volume of a liquid. Graduated cylinders are generally accurate and precise for the purpose of measuring the volume of liquids than flasks and beakers. The next laboratory apparatus is called Funnel. This is a pipe with a wide, often conical mouth and a narrow stem. It is used to channel liquid or fine-grained substances into containers with a small opening. Without a funnel, spillage might occur. Let me show you how to transfer liquid from a beaker to an Erlenmeyer flask using a funnel. Make sure that you do this carefully, okay? Don't let drops of liquid spill while transferring from one container to another. This one is called a watch glass. A watch glass is a circular, concave piece of glass used as a surface to evaporate a liquid, to hold solids while being waved, to heat small amounts of substances, and to cover beakers. Next is the evaporating dish. This porcelain apparatus is used for evaporation of solids and supernatant fluids, and sometimes up to their melting point. Evaporating dishes are used to evaporate excess water or other solvents to ensure that a concentrated solution or the dissolved substance is left behind. Let me show you a video of evaporation using the evaporating dish. Do you understand the functions of the laboratory apparatus that were discussed, Fernandino teens? Fantastic! Now, let us watch this video to show once again the different laboratory apparatus. You will learn the functions of other laboratory apparatus when we return here in Fernandino Teens TV.
Maya po oras kaya kayo, Fernandinos. Ako pala ay Elwin Arl Serrano ng City Tourism Office ng Ciudad San Fernando. Ngayong bulan na ini, pagmasusyan tayo ng National Heritage Month na ating temang Victory and Humanity, Upholding Filipino Heritage and Identity. Kambena nini, metong karang aktibidades na ng syudad, atin ng launching ng bayong Heritage Passport. Yung Heritage Passport, atin ng metong karing proyekto ng kaya katamong syudad, yung pamanamuna ng Mayor Edwin D. Santiago. Anong nuka rin makalagelangan ding eganagan ng heritage sites, heritage structures, na akit tamo kin kaya katamong Heritage District. Makakayabe din kini, ding importansya da ding mapil na tradisyon, kini syudad, kalupa na ng pamangawang parol, ang poing pamangalesa. May awo siyang Heritage Passport, uling atin kang dapat gawan, anong nukaran puntalan mula ding at yung passport, at saka ka mag-selfie. Kay ba't kanta, palto making tourism office, at mamielang sticker ka rin eganagan ng apuntulan mong lugar. At timong may ngari ang tutong passport. Balo mi ngeni, panahon na ini, tamo makain bisa lumal, uli na ng COVID-19 pandemic. Kaya naman kimbanwa nga ini, agkatan ko la ding bikers tamo, edad 18 hanggang 50, imbis na lumaot kayo po, di na nyo lang dita ka oras, di kaya katamong heritage structures, kaya ni syudad. Anya naman karing mumunang 50 bikers ang makayari kaya katamong heritage passport, midinan lang premium only San Fernando loot bag. Inggawan nyo mo ba kanta makapag-register, Punta kayo mismo opisina ng City Tourism, yung munisipyo, at saka kayo magdalang metong valid ID. Kabiyanin kaya kayong heritage passport, ating makasipit ang instruction nung nano pa ing dapat gawan. Anya naman karin hanggang kapadyak yan, nanano ko pa, tara na!
Fernandino Teens TV.
Hi, you're still watching Fernandino Teens TV. We just discussed 12 of the basic laboratory apparatus a while ago. Do you want to learn more? Good. The next laboratory apparatus is crucible and cover. A crucible is a ceramic container capable of withstanding extreme temperatures, while the cover is designed to prevent heat from escaping the crucible itself. Crucibles are used for a range of purposes and are particularly common among chemists for the chemical analysis of various substances. Melting of metals is an example of the use of crucible. This is called reagent bottle. This container is made of glass, plastic, borosilicate, or related substances and topped by special cups or stoppers and are intended to contain chemicals in liquid or powder form for laboratories stored in cabinets or in shelves. Let's try to store some mixtures using these reagent bottles. Let us watch this video on how to store mixed chemical using reagent bottle. This one is called a Bunsen burner. It is a device used for combining flammable gas with controlled amounts of air before ignition. Just a reminder, Fernandino teens, be careful when using a Bunsen burner to avoid any harm or injury. The next laboratory apparatus is the tripod. A tripod is a three-legged equipment generally used as a platform of some sort. This lab equipment is used to support and hold various flasks, beakers, and other glassware when not in use and also during experiments. This one is called a wire gauze. The use of a wire gauze in an experiment is to place under the container holding the liquid that is being heated by the Bunsen burner so that the container does not have direct contact with the flame. Now, let us watch this video on how to use the Bunsen burner, tripod, and wire gauze at the same time. First, you should set it up like this. Put the Bunsen burner below the tripod and the wire gauze on the tripod. Connect the Bunsen burner to a gas source and turn it on. Then put any laboratory glassware like flasks or beakers to heat up liquids. See, you could not just use any equipment that you like to use because Each has a specific function to perform. Here's the next set of laboratory apparatus that I will show you. Iron clamp, iron stand, and iron ring. An iron clamp is used to hold things and is placed in the iron stand to elevate other equipment. So, you should do it like this. Next, we have the spatula. This is used to take and handle small quantities of solid chemicals. It is used like a spoon or an instrument for scooping material out of a container. Now, let us watch this video showing how to scrape substance in the watch glass using spatula. As you can see, this watch glass has clay-like substance in it. We will scrape this substance using a spatula. Next is the mortar and pestle. This is a tool used to crush, grind, and mix solid substances. The substance to be ground is placed in the mortar and ground, crushed, or mixed using a pestle. For example, we need to crush mint leaves for our experiment. Now, let us watch this video showing how to crush mint leaves using mortar and pestle. Next, we have the medicine dropper. Looks familiar? Maybe your parents used this when you were young to give you a dose of medicine. This is an instrument used to measure small amounts of liquids which usually come in milliliters. Let us watch this video to show how to measure a small amount of liquid using medicine dropper from a beaker. The last laboratory equipment that we will discuss is the microscope. This is an instrument used to see objects that are too small for the naked eye. There are many types of microscopes. The most common and the first to be invented is the optical microscope, which uses light to image the sample. Usually, we put the sample or substance to be studied on a glass slide. At this juncture, let us watch this video how specimens appeared to be magnified under the power and resolution of a microscope. There you have it, Fernandino teens. Now, let us watch this video to show once again the different laboratory apparatus we've discussed. Do you want to have an activity to test your understanding of the things we discussed? Excellent! Brace yourselves because when we return, you will answer exciting and challenging activities. So, do not change your channel. Stay tuned.
Magtanim ay di biro, pero para sa retired teacher na si Mang Tomas Gamboa, isa itong pangarap na matagal na niyang inaasam na anihin. Kaya naman sa 500 square meter lot na ito sa Florida Blanca, Pampanga, unti-unti niyang tinamnan at pinalago ang naipong kita sa mahigit 20 taon niyang pagtuturo. Kaya, tara na't pasukin ang paraiso ng ating bidang guro.
Welcome to Mape Garden Farm. Tara!
Mula sa makukulay na disenyo hanggang sa iba't ibang klase ng planting methods, makikita yan sa personal gulayan na tinawag nilang Modern Agriculture Farm Edition. Talaga namang binuhos ni Mang Tomas ang kanyang expertise sa pagtatanim at syempre, hindi mawawala ang pagiging resourceful ng ating resident planter.
Yung paggamit ng mga material sa pagtatanim, iba-iba. May plastic, may gulong, may sako, may bote, lahat ng klaseng bote na pwedeng gamitan. Ginamit ko na.
Experimental ang approach ni Mang Tomas. Pero pagdating sa soil mixing, organic ang swak na soil mixture na approve sa ating green thumb. Pinaghahalo lang ang soil, topsoil, ipa, at carabao manure para sa optimum growth ng mga healthy veggies. Halos lahat pa ng mga gulay sa kantang bahay kubo present din dito sa kanyang lupain. Kaya naman ang buong pamilya ni Mang Tomas hanggang sa mga apo niya enjoy sa pag-harvest at pag-aalaga ng Mafe Garden Farm na ipinangalan niya pa sa kanyang mga anak.
Na kayo, siyempre, di ba, mahilig kayo magluto?
Oo.
Ano pong naging ambag nito?
Mula nung tinahi ito, natuto kami lagi mamasyal dito, lagi nagluluto, dala-dala lahat yung mga pagkain. Dito kami nagpipiknik.
At itong mape na sinasabi, ito'y pag-aaritan dalawa kong anak. Binibigay ko sa kanila. Regalo. Ako ang magiging caretaker nila. Yung mape.
Ang kalinga ng isang ama, ramdam hindi lang sa pamilya, kundi sa mga pananim niya. Kaya naman ngayong pandemya, make yourself busy, bawasan ang stress, at mas maging productive sa tulong ng pagtatanim para may dagdag hain na rin. Kaya para sa mga plantitos at plantitas na gustong i-level up ang planting skills,
papayo ko sa mga kasama kong nurseries, lalo sa mga teachers na hindi major ng agriculture, pwede kayong kumuha ng background sa Facebook. Pangalawa, kung konti lang yung pera nyo na ipon, pwede kayong kumuha ng 200 to 300 square meter at pakonti-konti, pwede kayong magtanim na kinakailangan ng pang-araw-araw na gamitan sa kusina at makakalibang pa sa pansarili mo.
para sa Balita Pampanga, Gerald Gloton.
Fernandino Teens TV.
Welcome back, Fernandino Teens. For your first activity, you need to identify the laboratory apparatus being described in each statement. Are you ready? Very good. Here is the first question. Number 1, what laboratory apparatus has a conical body and a flat bottom which is suitable for heating liquids? Letter A, Florence flask. Letter B, beaker. Letter C, Erlenmeyer flask. Letter D, graduated cylinder. Exactly! The correct answer is C, Erlenmeyer flask. Number 2, this is a piece of laboratory equipment used to accurately measure the volume of a liquid. Letter A, Florence flask. Letter B, beaker. Letter C, Erlenmeyer flask. Letter D, graduated cylinder. You got it right. The correct answer is letter D, graduated cylinder. Number 3, which of this laboratory equipment is used to hold things and is placed in an iron stand to elevate other equipment? Letter A, iron ring. Letter B, tripod. Letter C, iron clamp. Or letter D, funnel. Correct. The answer is letter C, iron clamp. Number 4, this is a heavy metal rod attached to a heavy metal base. It is a vertical metal rod which allows for easy height adjustment of the iron ring or iron clamp. Letter A, tripod. Letter B, funnel. Letter C, Bunsen burner. Or letter D, iron stand. Fantastic! The correct answer is letter D, iron stand. Number 5, which among these is a piece of laboratory equipment used to mix chemicals and liquids? It is made of solid glass, about the thickness and slightly longer than a drinking straw. Letter A, stirring rod. Letter B, test tube. Letter C, beaker. Or letter D, medicine dropper. Bravo! The correct answer is letter A, stirring rod. For the next part of your activity, a picture of a laboratory apparatus will be flashed on the screen. You need to name that picture. No choices will be given this time. Are you ready? Let us get started. Number 1, what is this laboratory apparatus? Correct! This is an evaporating dish. Number 2, what laboratory equipment is this? You're right. This is called a microscope. Number 3, do you recall what laboratory equipment is this? Very good. Crucible and cover. Number 4, how about this one? Exactly. This is a reagent bottle. Number 5, what do you call this laboratory equipment? Brilliant! mortar and pestle. Wow, you did a great job, Fernandino teens. I see that you really learned from our discussion today. Let us have a recap of the things that we discussed. First, we defined laboratory apparatus. We also discussed some safety precautions when handling objects in the laboratory. Then, I showed you how to use some of the basic laboratory apparatus used. These are the lab equipment that we discussed today. Beaker, test tube rock, funnel, crucible and cover, tripod, iron stand, mortar and pestle, test tubes, Florence flask, watch glass, reagent bottle, wire gauze, iron ring, medicine dropper, test tube holder, Erlenmeyer flask, evaporating dish, Bunsen burner, iron clamp, spatula, microscope, test tube brush, graduated cylinder, steering rod. Did you learn something new today, Fernandino teens? I am happy that you learned great things today. These are the references used in this episode. Again, I am Ma'am Rochelle. Till next time, Fernandino teens. Thank you for sticking around. Stay safe and God bless.
Ganun pala yon. Dapat lagi tayong mag-ingat kapag nasa laboratory tayo, Nan.
Tama ka dyan, Fer. Kagaya ng sabi ni Ma'am, ang mga apparatus ay iniingatan at inaalagaan para hindi kayo mag-break. Just kidding.
Hay naku, Nan, ayan ka na naman sa mga hugot mo. Ang sabi ni Ma'am, tayo ay mag-ingat sa tuwing nasa laboratory tayo. At mahalaga na alam natin ang dapat gawin at ang mga tamang paggamit ng mga laboratory apparatus.
Marami din ba kayong natutuhan ngayong araw, Fernandino teens? Kaya naman,
Maraming salamat, Ma'am. Isa na namang makabuluhang talakayan ng ating natunghayan, Fernandino teens.
Magkita-kita tayong muli sa susunod na episode ng
Fernandino
Teens!
TV,
na kung saan ang kabataang Fernandino ay angat sa aking talino.
Bagong umaga, yakapin mo ang bagong pag-asa. Simulan mong abutin ang iyong pangarap na magbibigay dangal sa iyong bukas. Ang suliranin, hindi laging nandyan, dapat mong harapin. Kami iyong kasama sa bawat takin, magkaakbay nating lulutasin. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Ang mga aral ay gininto ang hangatin ng bawat guro na siyang gagabay sa iyong pagkamulat. Naway umukit ito sa iyong isipan.